Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to another Thirsty Thursday live stream. In today's episode, we have a new guest, which I'm super stoked about. We have a whole bunch of things to talk about, and hopefully, everyone's having a good Thursday. Everyone enjoyed maybe Try Hack Me's CTF and ready for Hack the Box new CTF tomorrow. So, if you guys are joining, if you're on a team, let's do it. And if not, whatever team you're on, kill it. So, Andrew, thank you so much for hanging out. You want to go by Andrew or Andy?
Andrew's fine. I just put Andy online because it just sounds friendlier and I look grumpy all the time.
Yeah, no, sounds good. Sounds good. So, for those folks that just do a little introduction, what you've been up to, and how's life going?
Hey, I'm Andrew. Somewhat new to the cybersecurity field. Started my journey last year. I got so basically got laid off from my job. I was working in web development before that. I had a lot of free time and decided to, just do something to kind of get more knowledge and maybe so I decided cybersecurity just to help me as a web developer. But then as I started getting into the mix and learning about all the different areas of cybersecurity, I kind of started falling more and more in love with that. And I was like, I think I'm going to put the development to the side for now.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, yeah, that's pretty cool. And I think there was a few people that actually. Who was it? I think Noah. Noah's in. He was on. I think it's Cyber Noah on YouTube, and he was on the channel. And he does IT support, web development, all the website stuff. And then he's like, okay, let me maybe like pivot to the world of cyber. So as you're getting into the world of cyber, like what has been your most, like what's been the most fun? Like, have you tinkered with some of the platforms like CTFs or anything like that, Hack the Box, Try Hack Me's, etc.?
Yeah. So when I got started, so I started doing Try Hack Me in the middle of last year. I thought Try Hack Me was really great. Like the, what is it? Their learning paths were super helpful. I was especially doing the learning paths while I was also studying for my Security Plus certification. So I found that would be really helpful. And then one day I went on Hack the Box just for a change of pace. And I started really enjoying doing like the actual machines and the challenges. And then so I started really falling in love with pen testing aspect, offensive security. I thought that was like really interesting and fun. And one thing too I really like about Hack the Box is they have Sherlocks.
Yep.
And those have been like my favorite now for like the last like month. It's like just Hack the Box is actually really fun. I kind of spend a little too much time on there, I think.
Yeah, and that's great, and I love that because, so I want to have a question for that. So you said like you got into the cybersecurity space. Now you're getting into Hack the Box, Sherlock's, Pro Labs, and all the fun standalone machines, etc. So do you do like more like web hacking challenges just because you understand the web development, you understand web servers, you understand all that world more, or like where do you feel like you pivot towards, like what path do you go down, and what path do you enjoy most?
I think the path I enjoy most is I actually really enjoy the web hacking. I started getting into the web hacking while working on my EWPT certification. Because I thought, okay, this will be an easy, lower barrier of entry for me. Like, let me go for something that I'm familiar with. I know the web. When I got into it, I don't know the web. But then it just became such like the web is actually really hard to hack compared to network's not easy by any means, but like the web is. There's just so many variables that go into, getting that first foothold. But yeah, I started really enjoying doing the web. And I actually started really getting more into, from that, I started getting more into like mobile hacking. Like I really been enjoying doing the mobile.
And that's cool because I feel like there's a lot of the positions, and we'll talk about jobs and stuff like that. And like, if you want to become a pen tester, like APIs, web apps, mobile, that's like the hot commodity, right? Like, and recently I've seen and I've talked to people that they're looking for network pen testers. Like, you do your internals, you do your Active Directory stuff, your externals, your OSINT, your reconnaissance, all that fun jazz. But it's like me, I'm not the best with web apps. Like, I can tinker with them, but I'm not the best with them. Like, I understand more of the the infrastructure testing and stuff like that. And I'm not even still not the best at that either, but I understand it better. Like, if I see something, I can figure it out. Like with the web apps, I know enough to get myself in trouble, like I always say, but like I'm not that good at it. And sometimes when you have to do this code review and all this code stuff, it gives me a headache. So it's interesting to hear and see that from you. So that's pretty neat.
Yeah, that's like how I feel about like network pen testing is like, especially like on Hack the Box. Like, if I'm doing something that's like Active Directory, I'm so lost. Like, because I've up until maybe 6 months ago, I've never touched a Windows computer.
Oh, really? Even at like home, like what do you use, like a Mac?
Yeah, I've had like a Mac my whole life. So it's like, so when I do like the Active Directory machines, and it's like, what is going on here? Like,
yeah,
like, but it's interesting to learn because it's like a whole new world. Like, Windows operating system to me is like, it's just like this whole new thing, and you're just like, what?
And that's super cool to hear, because not a lot of people can say that, right? Because everyone's, at least for myself, like once I got into the computer world, I had a Windows machine my whole life, right? Like, I had a Mac for work. I don't know if Home's going to be in here tonight, but I had the opportunity to work with Home, my buddy Home, and like they gave us a Mac. Thank God I just got rid of that shit, and here you go, take it back. But like Mac, I hate them. Like, I can't figure them out. Oh, you can't pay me to use a Mac. And if I would have had a choice back then to like say I didn't have a choice, like this is your machine, you have a MacBook Pro, whatever the hell it was, this is all you get. You know what I mean? If I would have had an option, I would have been like, no, send me a Windows machine all day. But the Active Directory stuff, it's super interesting because even like, I know it enough to get in trouble too. Like, even on like the infrastructure side, like I worked with AD for so many years, but then it's like, okay, like when you have to think about the security aspect, like co-browsing, ticketing, this, that, certificate authorities, and how do you abuse that, and blah, blah, blah. Just like we're going to be talking about this Saturday. We're going to be talking about authority. Authority is, a certificate server, whatever. We'll see that on Saturday. Yeah. But it's an interesting thing, because if you want to be a pen tester and you want to, a lot of the infrastructure is probably 98% of them are Windows, so you have to understand how to navigate and, pwn those kind of machines or hack those kind of machines and test them.
Yeah, I went my whole life without using a Windows, and I picked the wrong career to get into.
Yeah, because web development developers, a lot of them use Macs, right? Like Macs is just like their go-to, So like a lot of my developer friends, all my friends that come from that DevOps, DevSecOps, blah, 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 they all have Macs.
Yeah.
And, but you can't pay me to use that thing. I hate them. I literally hate them.
And then going from like Mac to like a Linux is just like, it's such an easy lateral movement. Like I now use like Linux more often, especially like with using like Kali. I just found like that transition was just so smooth. Like, just the commands are pretty much the same. But then like, if I get into like a Windows machine, it's like, I find myself typing ls, and I'm like, oh wait, no, it's,
dir. Yeah. And the same thing, right? Like if you have to cat something out in Windows, you have to type it, right? Type, and then the file name to see the context of that file. right? So yeah. And oh yeah, I forgot to say this in the beginning. If you guys have any questions, I'm trying to look at the chat, but obviously without a moderator today, can't really see it. But like towards the end, maybe 15 minutes before the top of the hour, we'll look at the questions and tackle them. So, like you said, did you have your Security Plus? Did you get your Security Plus?
Yeah, I got my Security Plus last October, I think. October. I did
So
that
what
one.
certs do you have today?
So I got my Security Plus, and then after that, I did my EJPT through INE.
Mm-hmm.
I really wanted to get a pen testing cert and kind of
Mm-hmm.
dip my toes in the water, see if I even liked it. Right,
Mm-hmm.
like it's like on paper, it looks like the coolest thing ever, but you never know until you actually do it if you like it.
Yep.
So I did that, and I was like, okay, I think I like this.
Mm-hmm.
Then I decided to do the PJPT after that.
So what is the difference, and what is your opinions on both? Because I took the PJPT, right? So what are the differences, and which one do you like more? What is your feedback on both of them?
So I think in terms of because they're junior certifications, I think they complement each other very, very well. Because the EJPT, there's no Active Directory. The PJPT is Active Directory focused.
Mm-hmm.
And there's things you could, without giving too much away, there's things you cover in the EJPT that's not covered in the PJPT and vice versa.
Fair enough.
And I think for me, I went and did both because I wanted to pick which platform I'm going to continue learning with.
Fair enough.
And so that was such a low cost, factor for me, right? So I did both. I think both are great. I continued it with INE just because their courses are a lot longer. It's for me personally, I found that the practical ethical hacking course was just too short.
Yeah.
For me, it was too much information at once.
Yep. Yeah.
For me,
totally. And for INE, is it Alex, the trainer?
Yeah, Alex Ahmed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does his
Hackersploit.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, because I remember I would love to talk to him one day. I don't know if he ever watches my stuff, but he's someone I would love to talk to, shoot the shit, and have him on the show because I learned some shit from him, especially earlier on, when I didn't know anything, and getting into the world and just Googling and YouTube and some stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm I came across his channel, and he has some good stuff. So go ahead.
All I'll say is I don't think he intends to be funny in his courses, but he sometimes he'll do something and it doesn't work, and he's just uh-oh. And then but he works through it.
Yeah.
So I think that's what I really like about it is he shows you
he's human.
He shows you he's human, but he's also showing you it doesn't work every time.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's why even in my videos, and I don't know if I did that much on my course because I try to have my course at least with the least amount of mistakes because I want them to, I wanted to get through the content. But for my videos, I never edit. If I mess something up, just I think the other day, I don't even know what I was doing. I don't know. I do so much stuff. So, but I was doing a command and I'm this is not working. I don't know what I'm doing. Whoops, let's see. I even live on Saturday when I was doing Blackfield, when I was nearly stuck on that, whatever that file was that my buddy bailed me out. He goes, dude, just make a file. And this was it. And so it's we're I guess the moral of that comment is don't expect to know it all. And just I bang my head so many times in whatever CTF, even in real engagements, right? Sometimes I think, real engagement, not sometimes, 98% of the time, real engagements are a lot easier than a CTF, but it's still it's not going to always work. And speaking on that, I want to navigate around the interview questions, interviews as a whole. I talked to people recently that go on these interviews And it's like, we forget stuff, especially on an interview. It doesn't matter how good you are. Like you're going to be asked a question. For an example, if I drop you into a network, you have assumed breach. What would be the first thing you would do? And it's like, do you run responder? Do you run bloodhound? Do you run there's so many different avenues.
Right.
And I hate those questions, right? It's like, oh, tell me about this. It's like, put me on the keyboard and actually let's do it, because the way we work through problems or work through situations are a lot different than trying to converse that. At least for me, like if you tell me how to bowl and knock 10 pins down, I can say, oh, I put my 2 fingers in, I cup the ball, I hold the ball here, I stand on mark 5 and I throw to board 4, right? And that's literally how it is. But you're like, what the fuck is all that? Right? Like, but if I show you and we actually on the lane and we do it, it's a lot easier to absorb than me telling you something and then you telling me how to do it, right? Let me show you how to do it versus like doing it. And how do you learn? Do you ever feel like any of those things are relatable?
Yeah, I was going to say, I felt like the Security Plus certification was sort of like, it's just how much can you memorize, right? And it's just like, I feel like I was done. I was happy. I was like, all right, cool. I got my Security Plus, but I didn't feel anything after. But then once you do a practical certification like EJPT or PJPT, you actually feel accomplished after. And I think it's because that's how I learn, is hands-on, right? Not sit there studying, reading a book, watching videos, and then the fact that you have your notes, because you're not going to remember everything. Like, I feel like that's kind of an impossible task to ask of somebody to remember, all. I could barely remember what was even on that test.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm a true believer in that. And it's been on, I've been on interviews that they say, oh, what would you do here? And I'm like, hey man, like literally I have my cheat sheet in my Obsidian. I don't use Obsidian anymore. I use Notion now, but literally like if it's an external, for an example, an external pen test, I have I have Andrew Incorporated, right? I'll go to, maybe I'll do enumeration. Maybe I'll look at the users or their LinkedIn, or, go on hunter.io to maybe make a list, maybe whatever. I can start building out doing my OSINT. But then it's like, if I have to tell you, I literally have like step-by-step, like go here, go here, go here. So like, I don't even remember because I don't want to remember. And maybe I get like slack for that, or smack or slack, whatever the hell the word is. But it's like, why do I have to remember? I have a whole bunch of shit going on in my life already to remember all this stuff. I just have open up my external pen test playbook, if you want to call it a playbook or whatever,
right,
and my steps. And then when I'm done with checklist number 1, I go to checklist number 2, or task number 2, task number 3. And then until I get to the bottom, once I have all the stuff, I have this information gathered or whatever I'm doing. And then I have my tools. Say, for example, if it's an Office 365, I use, my Office 365 tools and, whatever, if it's, going so on and so forth. So yeah, it's like an impossible thing. So how do you find that like you deal with like, maybe not right now, whatever, just like interviews in general, like what is something that you think people should, or people that are interviewing folks really recognize, like or takeaways or whatever? What would you like to see from someone that's interviewing folks?
I think like, especially because when you apply for these jobs, like they just ask for like so much for like a junior role. And so it's like, you're calling this person for an interview. Like, I'm using me for an example. So you're scheduling an interview with me. I clearly don't meet all of those checkpoints that you have in the job listing. But then you come into the interview expecting me to hit all those checkpoints. It's like, I feel like job interviewers should like lower their expectations when they interview a junior candidate, and like kind of maybe just gauge based on like like what they're doing, like what they're working on, like are they continuing their education? They might not, like when I got my first web development job, we didn't work with any technology that I was familiar with. But, you know, they liked me, so they hired me, and I just started grinding. I just spent, you know, some of my free time, like just learning the technologies that we're working with, so that, you know, within a couple weeks, I was, you know, ready to go. And I think employers should be looking for that. People who are willing to grind, who are willing to put in the work, people who want to be there.
Mm-hmm. And I love that because I have a story just popped in my head. I don't know if I ever said this, but if I did, sorry guys. So when I was a network engineer, when I got into network engineering, and when I pivoted to network engineering from system engineering, so I was doing like hybrid network systems at a bank many moons ago. But then I wanted to actually be a network engineer. I didn't want to touch servers anymore. I just wanted to route, switch, firewalls, IPS, IDS, blah, blah, blah. So I remember this job, like I knew what firewalls were. We were working with ASA. We migrated from Cisco PICs to ASAs back then. So, and I felt like a dead end there because like, I'm like, okay, I want more. And I wanted to get more into like maybe next generation firewalls. You know, this is like when FTD started coming out, firepower threat defense. And I was like, okay, cool. Like this is the new hot commodity. What is the new or the hot thing on the market? Everything was Checkpoint. And this is before, now everything is like Florida Gate and Palo Altos and stuff like that. But back then it was those. And I would interview, and this I already had like a CCNP security, right? So I knew firewalls pretty decent. And I was like, they would ask me, have you ever worked with Checkpoint? No, I have never worked with Checkpoint. I worked with WatchGuard. I worked with, you know, Cisco ASAs and Cisco PICs. Oh, we need someone that worked with, you know, whatever checkpoints. And I'm like, yeah, but you know, it's like me saying, in order for you to work at this mechanic shop, have you ever drove a Honda Civic? No, we can't hire you.
Yeah.
But you know how to drive a Nissan Altima, right? But you never drove a Civic. So that means you can't really drive one. Yeah. So it would irk me. So like, that's something like with interviews, it's like have those, and I don't know if it's an insecurity thing on the person that's interviewing you. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, oh, maybe they don't know, I don't know, Cisco or whatever. I don't know. I don't know what it is. Because when I was on that side of the chair or the camera or the seat or whatever, when I would interview folks, like I would do exactly what you said, right? Like get the lay of the land of what their expectation, what their skill sets are, and then plant that expectation in my head of what to ask. But that's why I said never fib on your resume, right? Because if you start lying on your resume, like if you query, I always make this joke, right? If you do a Control F and SQL or cross-site scripting or XSRF and blah, blah, blah on my resume, you don't see it. Never. You'll never see it. Can I do it? Probably I can tinker with some. I did my CBBH. I know a little bit about web apps, but I'm not so proficient with it, right? So I feel like whatever's on my resume, I can talk at least to an 85, 90% because it's still stuck in my head. And even if things start like leaving my brain, I actually go in my resume and I remove it. Because like, fuck, if you ask me that right now, I'm fucked. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So that's just a little thing I like to put out there.
I do that on my resume too. Like maybe that's why I don't get as many interviews or even interviews at all, is because I don't count like doing one day of a class on like, say like PowerShell scripting. I'm not going to put that on my resume. Like I did it for a day. That doesn't count. That doesn't mean I know that technology. Now, if I can get in there and, you know, work with PowerShell, but like, I'm not an expert. Like I'd rather, you know, say these are like, you know, I know JavaScript really well, you know, I know PHP really well, you know, and then, you know, I know Bash pretty good. And so it's like, I'd rather say like, I know these really well. And then if like an opportunity comes up, it's like, oh, what about Python? Then I could be like, oh yeah, I know Python. You know, it's not proficiently, but like I know it.
Exactly. Yeah, and so I'm glad we got to touch on that because that's pretty cool. So going back to what you were saying about penetration testing, you got your EJPT, you got your EJPT,
PJ.
PJPT. It's all these acronyms,
I
and then
know.
you went into like some web hacking, right? You did like the EWPT or whatever it is from INE.
Yeah, so I just passed my EWPT about 2 weeks ago. That was my
Congrats on that.
next. Thanks. That was my next big one because I wanted to kind of. My idea was okay. So I did the network. I did the EJPT, PJPT. I got a little taste of the network. So let me do a web. Like because I need to figure out now which path that I want to focus.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, you know what? Let me do EWPT. This should be easy. I know tons about the web. No. Turns out being a developer and a web app pen tester are two very different things. And
Elaborate on that because that's good to know because I always thought it went hand in hand. So keep going.
just learning about SQL injection and then thinking I'm like, shit, did I sanitize those inputs on that form that I built 2 years ago? But it's easier to build than it is, or sorry, it's easier to destroy than it is to build. So, I mean, building a website, there's so many things you got to think about versus like pen testing. There's a whole different things you got to think about because when you're pen testing a website, or a web application, you're kind of hoping that they forgot to sanitize that input because that's going to make things so much easier for you. But I think the biggest difference though is between network and web, is like the attack surface is so much bigger, or not so much bigger, but so much broader, right? Because like when you do like an SQL injection, like is it an in-band, right? Out of band, like is it stored XSS? Is it reflected SSS? Like path traversal. It's like, well, which combination is it? It's like nothing is as finite as I find like within like network. You kind of get a little bit more of a response or
Fair
feedback,
enough, like a direction. Yeah.
Like it's like this doesn't work. And you're like, okay, this doesn't work, so I'm going to move.
Yeah.
Whereas web, it's like this didn't work this way, so you gotta. So it's like when do you give up trying to on that exploit path?
Fair enough. That's good to know. That's good to for the world to know, I guess, because I knew probably 95% of what you said, 98 maybe. There's a couple stuff like sanitizing all that stuff. Yeah, and so I wanted to touch on some of the CTFs. You did touch on some. So we can get into the world of hockey, right? So I know we wanted to talk about hockey. I know it's not cybersecurity related, but have you ever played hockey? Do you play hockey?
No, I'm probably the only Canadian that's never played hockey.
Oh, so
I mean, I played it in the streets as a kid. Like,
yeah,
like every kid, we all, car comes by, got to lift up the nets and
yeah, exactly.
And so, but like in Canada, you just grew up around hockey. Like you just can't not be around it. Like I don't know, it's weird to think of like, because I think when I lived in the States for a bit, it was just like nobody knew about hockey. Right? It was like football was like the big thing.
Yeah.
So, and for me, that's where I get lost. Like I know nothing about football.
Yeah. No, it's true. Like, but it all depends on where you are in the States, right? Like if you're like in Minnesota, it's a lot of hockey.
I mean,
New
that's
York,
basically Canada.
huh? Yeah,
that's basically Canada.
Yeah, that's true. And then like New York, you have a lot of, I grew up playing hockey, street hockey, and then I started playing ice hockey towards like my, later teens. But still to my, till this day, I'm way better at roller. Like, 'cause I grew up playing roller, and it's just so. Who is your team? Like, what team do you like watching?
Oh, just by default, like my dad was a Montreal Canadiens fan, so you just kind of grow up with, because because like every city that I lived in as a kid, because like I was a military kid, so I moved around a lot.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't live in a city that had an actual hockey team, like a NHL team.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you kind of just whatever what my dad was watching on TV, and then when I was really young, I moved to Montreal. So it just sort of you kind of get absorbed into let's root for Montreal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Yep. And then obviously then it goes to like the the big four that just happened, right?
Right.
US and Canada. What did you think about that? How was that for you?
When USA beat Canada that one game, it was kind of like, oh, we can't. I'm like, please don't let the United States win. Like, they're just gonna brag about it so much, and they're gonna act like they're the hockey kings when they're not. And it's just like, so Connor McDavid, beautiful goal, and I was just like, oh, it's kind of like when I was watching the Super Bowl. I was like, I wanted Philadelphia to win.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, oh, if Philadelphia wins, like I know people from Philadelphia, they're gonna be so annoying about it.
Yeah, that is true. And all right, I want to put you on the spot. I know we're live. Do you know where hockey originated from?
Yeah, the indigenous population of Canada.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
It's the UK.
Oh, you're talking about that. Oh, you're talking about fielding. That doesn't count. Fielding doesn't count. That's just basically old. What is it? Yeah, field hockey.
Field hockey. Yeah. Yeah, the ice. Yeah. We gotta get that. So that's cool. All right, so that's how hockey talk. So I guess we'll bore a lot of people because probably not a lot of nerds don't play hockey and even know about hockey.
And no one cares about fielding.
Yeah. And it's interesting because I never played field hockey. I never played really. The only thing I played on a pitch on a field is like soccer. I never played lacrosse. I never played field hockey, and so yeah.
Yeah, I played soccer and rugby. I played rugby in high school.
Oh yeah, I never played rugby either. So I want to go into so but actually before we go into conferences and everything, so there's some other stuff that you're leaning towards, right? We were talking about this off air, like blue teaming, red teaming, or offensive security, defensive security. Yeah. So you got some of your pen testing certifications. You've been doing a path on Hack the Box, and you're going to go for a different direction. And you've been spicing things up, trying some new stuff. And how's that going? And what is your take on that?
I started doing so right now I'm finishing up the SOC analyst path on Hack the Box. So I'm going to probably start my exam this weekend. And to be honest, like I'm really enjoying the blue teaming a lot more now that I've I've dipped my toes in it a bit, like checking it. Like I find that like now that I know how an adversary behaves, it's easier now to spot it. Right? Like when you're going through because I did the TCM SOC certification, which that really sparked my interest in the blue team. Yeah. There's on one part of the exam, there's like these logs you got to go through. And as soon as I opened the log, I was like, oh, like I saw it immediately. I knew what was going on. And then I was able to piece together.
Did they use Waza for their SIM?
No. It's Splunk.
Oh, it's Splunk too. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So you go through there's a log you have to go through, and you're just like, yeah, I was like immediately saw it, and I was like, oh, okay. And then I had so much fun, like going through the log, piecing together the timeline. It's like putting together. It's like a treasure hunt.
Yeah.
Right.
That's right. Thread hunting. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like I was like glued to my computer, just like, just like I couldn't. And when I was done, I was like, wow, I can't believe I was like, that was so cool. Like, yeah. So that's why I decided to start working towards the CDSA, because it's like I want to go like that next step. Like, I think, the blue team is, as much as I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go, red team, and then now it's like, no, blue team.
Yeah, and the stinger, we'll put this in the comments, or if he hears this, like we spoke about that, right? Him and I.
Mhm.
It's like blue teaming is what I love and what I do, and I'm a lot
Mhm.
better at that. I've been voicing that a lot more lately, but and he made a good point. He's like, we have to be right all the time, right? Like we
Mhm.
always have to look through your logs, blah blah blah. Always like fighting the battle. And an adversary or a pen tester or a bad guy only has to be right once.
Yeah.
So it's like, and people don't realize how difficult it is when you're, when you're threat hunting or when you're using parsing through logs and looking at, if you're using whatever Sentinel or Splunk or Logarithm or whatever Carbon Black, whatever the
Yeah.
hell your SIM solution is. I think Carbon Black is a EDR. But whatever, any kind of solution that you're using, it's like we have to go through all these logs and make sure we're all Gucci. If
Mhm.
not, then we're going to get dinged.
Yeah.
So it's like it's interesting, and I like to hear that because speaking of like the defensive side or threat hunting and doing all those things, there's a lot more positions as well. People probably don't realize that. Like if you think about offensive security and pen testing, the only time you're going to do that, like I'm talking about not red teaming, pen testing.
Yeah.
You'll work for like a consulting firm or a small firm or maybe a large firm that you just you know you have to be engaged on an engagement. So it's like very slim. And I can be totally wrong, but from my experience looking at jobs for the past 8 to 10 years, I feel if you go to Dice or Indeed or even on LinkedIn, if you look at like security engineering roles versus like penetration testing roles, you're going to see a lot more
Yeah.
um, security engineering roles that you're going to find versus like offensive security or red teaming or pen testing. But
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
yeah.
I think a big part of it too is like, so I decided to do like a cybersecurity boot camp last
Hmm.
year because the government of Canada had this big reskill grant program.
Hmm.
So it costs like peanuts compared to what it usually would cost to do one.
Hmm.
And when I was in there, I was just thinking like, this is so boring. Like no, I don't want to do this. Like, but I was going to keep going. Like, I don't quit, right? I'm going to finish what I started.
Hmm.
And just like as we're doing like the different courses and stuff, and like I'm just like, I don't think this is for me. Like this is boring, and so that's when I kind of was like, okay, now I think I'm gonna go offensive. Like if that's what the blue side is, I don't want to do that. like like just GRC, like that kind of stuff. I'm like,
Yeah.
no, that's not for me. So I'm like, and I was like, I know getting into pen testing is gonna be a lot harder. It's definitely not an entry level role, but if I'm going to get into cybersecurity, this is what I'm going to do,
Hmm.
right? I'm going to do this, not
Hmm.
that. And then then I decided like, oh, let me get a blue team certification under my belt, just because I feel like it's like there's like blue team, red team. I feel like I'm more purple
Yeah.
in my thinking, and
Hmm.
I think of it. I equate it to like web developing is you need to know the front end and back end. You don't have to be amazing at back end, but you could be amazing at front. Like like you have to know both sides of the coin.
Yep.
You have to know like it's like I've worked production jobs before, and
Hmm.
so like I'll learn like every step of the manufacturing process. Even
Yep.
though my job is to just print, I'll know how it gets up to me and then where it goes from there.
Hmm.
I think of because I think of like that's kind of how I think of cybersecurity is like there's these different steps, these different things can happen, and if you know enough about each of these different areas, it'll help you like excel in what you want to focus on
Yeah.
because the little things that can help you grow.
No, those are facts. Those are good points. Those are really good points. And yeah, thanks for sharing that. That's awesome. And yeah, so the last thing we'll talk about and it's conferences and networking, right?
Mhm.
So have you been to any conferences?
Not yet. Like where I am right now, there's not really much happening in
Hmm.
person. There is the Atlantic Security Conference that's coming up next month, so I'm gonna be going to that. Actually, your guest last week, Philip Wiley, he's speaking at it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so that's gonna be cool. It'll be my first conference, so I'm excited to get out there, uh, network the best I can.
Yep, that's what I was gonna
Yeah,
say. Yep.
but we'll see. I'm like a super introvert, so
Yeah, and I was like that too. And I just think like when you're networking with like-minded people, and just like I think it comes off a little easier. Now over the years, like when I was younger, I was more of an introvert and more to myself, and but this for obvious reasons. Like I used to just think people were trying to get over on me. I had my own ways of growing up, and like
mhm,
someone's only trying to get close to you to rob you. That was my mentality until
mhm,
I was probably 20 something years old. So I'm like, yo, stay the fuck away. You know what I mean? Like, let me stay away and I'll just stay to myself. So, but now it's like, now we can get together with like minded people. You can network with folks, and it, you guys are all in it in the same room, interested in the same things, sort of
yeah,
kind of, right? It's not like you're going to go to, you know, I don't know. You're not going to have a whole bunch of hackers at a hockey party, right? So
right.
it's like, so and I think that's super super cool. And do you plan on going to any others? Like, is that going to be like you're testing the waters? Like, okay, let me see how I feel, how I deal with this, and then you would probably go to like other ones.
I mean, I would go to other ones. I just can't afford to go to other ones right now.
Fair enough.
You
Fair
know, I
fair
gotta,
answer.
yeah, I gotta keep money tight right now. So
Yeah. If you can go to one, which one would it be?
I think I'd go to DEF CON. I think that's like
Okay.
I would go to DEF CON just to go at least once in my life.
Yeah.
It looks fun. I really want to check out the different villages that they have.
Hmm.
Um, Watch people hack. That'd be kind of cool because I think they
Yeah.
have like an actual like live. I really want to see. So I think I heard that they have like a social engineering village,
Yep.
and they have this like contest where people do things
Yeah.
on phones,
Yeah.
like
cold calling. Yeah.
cold call. Yeah, I want
You
to
go
see. I
like
want
in
to
his
see.
little booth,
Yeah,
and I forgot who puts that on. Is it Red Siege? I'm not sure. I don't remember who actually puts that on. If anyone knows in the chat, throw it in there. I forget who who does that, but that's a good thing. Maybe we could talk offline, and maybe we can talk about some stuff, because that'll be cool. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
maybe we can raise some stuff, do like some CTF challenges, do some stuff to to get you out there, right? Because
yeah,
it's in what 4 months, right? What are
yeah.
we? April, May, June, July, August, 5 months. So just do have some time. So
Yeah.
maybe we can figure something out. So we have about 17 minutes or so. So I
Yeah.
want to say I don't think there is a lot of questions. Let me see. At least it didn't pop up on my end. Glenn, Mac for the wealthy hippies. Yeah, Mac's off for the wealthy hippies.
You
I
know,
was, I was always too poor for Macs.
what?
Uh,
I think about that sometimes, and then I see people who spend like 5, 6 grand on like their gaming setups,
yeah,
and I'm just like, come on.
yeah. No, you facts right there. Because
Yeah,
my machine, I think, was like 6 grand.
yeah,
The one I'm talking to, and probably almost 9 grand with everything that I have going on here. With everything. So, yeah, that's a hypocritical statement, right? Um, Mark Mac has nice hardware. I don't know. I hated it. I couldn't even install like VMware on it, like because the M1 chip. I don't know. It was. I hated it.
yeah. The M1 is terrible.
Yeah. So the Stinger InfoSec Pat, you can use cat and ls and sudo etc. on Windows 11 and update PowerShell. Cat is now an alias. Oh, cool.
Oh,
I didn't even know that. That's good to know. I'll check that out. Hey, hockey can be more interesting than MMA if the right teams are playing. Yeah, exactly. Like Boston and New York. That's an MMA fight right there. So, speaking about Boston, so you see Brad Marchand leaving Boston and going to the Panthers because he's
Marchand.
he was playing in Canada. He's a
Yeah, yeah.
Canadian. Hey,
My favorite hit ever is when PK Subban floored Brad Marchand, got him out of the game.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think Alex Ovechkin fucked him up a few times too. Ovechkin's a beast. I think he's going to beat Gretzky in all-time goals. I really hope. Like, even though like my team is the Rangers, and he always scored on Lundqvist. It's like I think, and then I was so happy before Lundqvist had like his heart murmur, and then he had his heart condition.
Yeah.
He went to, so he like left New York to play for Washington. I was like, man, this is it. He's going to win a cup. All I wanted Lundqvist to do is win a cup. That would have been super cool. Saw him for like 15 years in the Rangers or whatever. And it sucks. Someone that's so good. And that's like Igor Shesterkin now, right? Like, hopefully he gets a cup. All these great goalies don't get shit. I guess Mike Richter got a cup. So,
Richter, that's a throwback.
Yeah. Yeah, that shows my age. I actually went to the Garden for that in 94.
Wait, is that when? Okay, 94. Okay, never mind. So I say, didn't Gretzky play for the Rangers for like a season or two?
Yep.
With Messier, right?
Messi, yep. Mark Messier. Yep. He played with Leach, Graves. That was a fucking dream team right there. That was a good team. Does this start at the same time every week? Yes. I start at 7 p.m. EST every Thursday. Talk about SS7. What's SS7? I'm not sure what SS7 is. Yeah, I don't know what that is. I'm here on my computer. I bought it for a pawn shop. That's cool. Cool to be here.
Yeah.
I haven't been to a pawn shop in a minute. Like, I think I remember my uncle, like, was it my uncle or my uncle's friend? Whatever. Like, this is when like the hologram cards. I was still in New York. I was probably like 16 years old, and I think I wanted new trucks for my skateboard. And then I went to one of the pawn shops to do like one of the hologram fucking, was it like, it wasn't Mickey Mantle. It wasn't Babe Ruth. It was like one of those old baseball players. And it was worth like mega, I don't even know back then, maybe a couple $1,000. And I went into this fucking pawn shop and I was like, yeah, I just need like $100 for this. That fucking guy took it and I got my $100 and I was able to buy my trucks. And, and then I got beat up because that car went missing. But yeah, the pawn shop. That's my pawn shop. I think that's probably the first time. The first and last time I think I've been in a pawn shop. Oh, the grade 8. Oh yeah, the grade SS7 is the grade 8. I'm not sure if that's, but the grade 8 obviously is Alex Ovechkin.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the grade 8 I know, but SS7 I don't know what the hell that is.
Some cart sim attack.
So ever sit on the glass? So I never highly recommend it. So I used to sit a lot on the glass when I went to the Panthers games. But the thing about that, when you're so close, you can't see the ice. So I rather I always sit like in the middle, up maybe 15, 20 rows so I can see everything. I don't want to sit there and look up at the TV, or what do they call it? The center thing, whatever.
Oh, the Jumbotron.
Yeah. I'm not going to do that. I might as well just sit home and, fucking without a neck ache. So
yeah. I'm like that when I go to like a stadium concert. Like, I'd rather have like good seats and I could actually see what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
As long as the sound's good, like, and I can see the stage, like, I don't care where I'm sitting. Like, I'd rather be there than like in the crowd looking up. Like,
yeah, exactly. So if it's about, are you into bug bounties? Please, can you share? What the hell is this thing? Siri. So it was about, are you into bug bounties? Share something. So I don't really do too many bug bounties. I did a couple. And my recommendation, please share, I guess, tips for someone channeling into it. Just all you have to do is do it, right? Like I did one by myself. And I didn't even know if I found something. I had to verify with a buddy. But just go on like HackerOne or Bug Crowd or one of these platforms and just sign up and just whatever. Even if it's been resolved already, you can see when they submit their paper, like look at how they did it and get some tips and get some direction, and then take that and then start searching for you. Like I said in the beginning of this chat today, like web apps and that stuff is not my forte. And it's like I don't do it like just like, oh, let's hang out tonight. I want to go on a bug bounty hunt. That's not really my thing. But so sorry, Josh. I'll pass it to Andrew. He does more web app stuff. So what is your take on that?
I personally haven't. I've dipped my toes into it, but it can be time consuming. I think if you're just starting, and so like for me, it's like okay, I could spend more time doing bug bounties, or for me, it's like, or I could spend that time studying and like learning and like keep pushing that way. So I think if I had more time, I would spend a lot more time doing bug bounties. But I've found that like I've only found one bug so far, and it was a simple just like information disclosure. So I mean, I was stoked. I got a little bit of money, and I was like, hell yeah! But for the most part, like you gotta, it's time consuming. That's my only issue with it.
Yeah. But if like you like Stoke or like NomSec or like Tiberia or whatever, all these bug bounty guys, you can make a living, you can do really well. I will never be that. First of all, I don't want to be that. Like that's not something I'm interested in. So I don't really channel into that, to be honest. So hopefully that feedback is good.
Yeah, and I think too is like if you live somewhere where you could live relatively cheaply, bug bounty would be great, because the bounties that when they pay out, like you could, like where I am, it's how little bounties pay out that I could find. Like I can't live off that.
Yeah.
Right. So I gotta do other things to make sure I get some money.
Exactly. So let's see. Next one, I guess SS7 is some kind of sim attack for. Okay, I have no idea. So sorry, I don't know what SS7 is. That's industrial stuff. No, if it is industrial stuff, I have no idea. I'm not into that stuff.
Oh, is it sim swapping?
I don't even know. I'm not into that stuff either, so I don't know much about it. I'll probably Google it after this and see. But let's see. We have a few more minutes. Another question: is it good to learn BB while doing it? Of course, everything is beneficial if you're learning something while doing it. You know what I mean? Like I learned so much while doing stuff. Like I don't, you're always going to take something away. You're always going to have a takeaway from it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's one of the things I like about Hack the Box, especially like the retired machines. Is it's just, for me, it's more of a learning platform than a competition platform.
Yeah. That's how it was for me too, until Glenn came over my house and fucked me all up. And then he has me on now, because I'm literally like, I don't say this a lot, but I have an addictive personality. Yeah, I don't drink, I don't do drugs, but like when I'm hooked on something, I'm an addict. You know what I mean? Because my background is mostly addicts, to be honest, in other ways. But so like that's why I like this green tea. It's like something I get clinched on. I'm fucking addicted to it. So let's see, what's John say? What up, John? They should start with bug bounty contests in ISS, but then again, you might sign up for being spatial and playing. Yeah, exactly. Streaming on YouTube. That's another way you can do it. Yeah, streaming on YouTube, showcase, and then you can actually have some help if you're stuck. Like that's what I did last week. Because literally, I was, maybe I didn't look so nervous on my stream when I was doing Blackfield. I was like, man, I should have done this before. And I started to do some, and I'm like, you know what I mean? Like I gathered some of the user information, just so I don't, because I had a hard stop and I wanted to go to the gym before 2:00. Meanwhile, the time changes ended up being 3:00. But
oh wow,
Yeah. So like last Saturday, I was like rushed home from the gym. I was like, oh, 2 o'clock. I'm like, fuck, this thing has another hour to go. But and I was, I made it through, right? Like, and I got it through people on the chat, and then I had a friend bail me out when I was stuck at a certain area, and then at least they know that you're human and then like your thought process, and
Yeah.
I like that too, just for like, because when you talk about the interview stuff, right? Like, if I'm interviewing and you're like, oh, what is the process you would use to do X, Y, Z? You might, at least me, I have like fucking brain farts. I'm like, oh, I
Yeah.
don't know. But like when I don't have to think, when I'm not pressured, when I'm just doing my thing on my keyboard and just going through it and not nonchalant, it's a lot easier. So it's
Yeah.
like, maybe I might not be able to answer that question on a phone right now or on a Teams call or Zoom, whatever. But hey, check out this video. I think what you're asking, I went through this process when I was in my comfort zone. Right now, I
Yeah.
feel like pressured. It's like interrogation. I don't know. In interviews, I never did well in interviews. I'm a lot better at doing the tasks.
I almost feel like for an interview, they should be like when you do like the PJPT, they should be like, here you go. Here's a VPN. Connect. Do a pen test on our network.
Yeah.
Right? We set up a network. We expect you to hit X, Y, and Z.
Mm-hmm.
And then, document just document it. And then you have 3 days to do this.
Yeah.
And then,
and then present it like on the next interview.
Yeah.
We'll go over the findings and you talk about your mediation and blah, 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 blah.
Where you got stuck, how you overcame that. Like, I think that would be great. Like,
yeah, no, that is definitely a good idea. Now Uncle Joe's calling. I have to call him back. All right. So let's get through this. I would say the person to hit up is GnomeSec for B. Yeah. GnomeSec is the bug bounty king. Like, I think Stoke is too, but I don't know if Stoke's really streaming or getting on YouTube much, but definitely GnomeSec is the main man for that.
And not necessarily bug bounty, but in the web app world, like I really enjoy Tiberius's content.
Yeah, Tiberius is good too. Tiberius is awesome, and I'll be seeing him hopefully in next month or 2 months. But Hero in the box, yeah, hello, there he is. Hello, Hero in the box, exactly. Oh man, I knew hello would show up. Fucking hello, I love you, man. But
oh, was that the hacking hackers from last week?
Yeah, he was
hacking scammers.
Hacking the scammers. He was hacking the scam. Yeah. Home, what are you doing tonight? Are you hacking the scammers or what are you doing? I'm just gonna stay on until you answer now. Hopefully you didn't leave. First 3D print failure, sad. Yeah, it was funny. My friend James, he brought this 3D printer to DEF CON. Was it last year or the year before? I think it was the year before. And like, it's pretty cool. I never seen one in person. This kid like brought it from his house and brought it to the hotel. I was in Nigeria. Oh man. Oh shit. There he is. He's hacking the Nigerian prince. But I was. He was in Nigeria. Now he's back in hello world.
Always feels good to help out those princes get their money.
No, I'm writing shit C code, C plus code. Oh man, you're doing the good stuff tonight, huh? That's all shit. The shit C. I don't know shit about that, so I guess it's shit to me. Yeah, I don't know. Let's see. I would like to pen test but I do horrible on Hack the Box. Does that mean I should quit? Man, I don't think you should quit because, to be honest, home is a big reason I succeeded on top of my team with Hack the Box, right? So Hack the Box was something I did, like you said before, like more for fun, do the retire machines. I'll do a video here and there. And I never really got into it for like competition. It was more like a learning thing. And if I wanted to test something like, oh, I want to test this, I'll ask a friend. Now I have home to ask. Like I would ask another friend that did a lot of Hack the Box, like, hey, you should keep up. Yeah, man, keep it up. Because I want to say this, like, literally, if Glenn and then Home, like, because I had the pleasure of working with Home, that really got me back into this world of Hack the Box. And like the thinking process through Hack the Box is really, really cool because
Yeah.
every box is different. For Home, every box is easy. It can be fucking out the world difficult. It's like, oh, very, very easy today. I'm like, yeah, fuck off. But for me, sometimes a medium box, like, what is it, the Frizz last week? That foothold for me was what was annoying, right? Like for me and Glenn, like there were some people, like I had so much, and I think I was going out, I think Saturday night anyway. So I left the house. So I didn't even get a user flag. And then I'm like, okay, like I need to come back refreshed because I'm stuck. I'm literally stuck. And like, you come back with a fresh mindset and then, collaborate with some of your friends or maybe someone that at least got user flag or whatever, or even if they completed the box, sometimes, in this competition, yeah, people just want but I guess you can't just get the flags in that because you have to go through the process because the flags rotate. But like, we can say, okay, like me personally, like I just want a little hint, like, because if I just get the full answer, unless it's like, okay, Saturday morning, the following, which hasn't happened, like if it's, a new box is coming out at 2 p.m. today and I haven't done it and it's, 10 o'clock in the morning on Saturday, we have 4 hours. All right, give me, the steps, like how can I do this so I can just get it done? But, in a nutshell, I think it's super, super important to get those challenging headaches. So it gives you that time to learn. Because I learned so much in the last, I think I met Home probably, was it 6 months now? 6 months ago. And I learned so much. And even from him, like, we jump on a box if I'm stuck. We just shoot the shit and just hang out and he can just show me stuff. And, the Stinger as well. And so many other awesome folks that I love so much that really helped me through my process. So the moral of that is get with people that you trust, that, it's not going to make fun of you because you don't know something. And just, because I've seen that, like, oh, you're supposed to know this, and because you are XYZ, but everyone has their different skill sets,
And like to touch on that, I think that's one of the things I really like about Hack the Box is it is a platform that you can learn. Because I find like it's less of a game on Hack the Box.
Mm-hmm.
Like every step is a real exploit, right? Like you're always learning about like real exploits, right? And I think like for me, like that's what I really like the most compared to like Try Hack Me, where I find Try Hack Me is a little bit more
hand holding.
I wouldn't say hand holding. Just some of the steps, I'm just like, this doesn't make any sense to me, right? But some people like that, so I mean, that's to each their own. Whereas, like Hack the Boxes, and especially like the retired machines, like if you get stuck, like you don't have to look at the answers. They have the guided mode,
yeah,
right? And so like that's a really good way just to get like a little hint of like what to do next.
Yep, exactly. And even if you go through the walkthrough, that's not a bad thing. Like I've learned so much through walkthroughs. I'm not ashamed of it. I've done walkthroughs even before I did my videos, even like before I did like a pre-recorded walkthrough. Like I would do the machine, and if I get stuck, like I do my own, like I'll look at the walkthrough, but I'll make my own steps because that walkthrough doesn't really make sense to me. So I have to like use those steps to make my own walkthrough and take snippets and then put it in Microsoft Word or Obsidian or whatever. And then and it's probably, 80% of the time, 90% of the time, I don't need that, but maybe 80% I don't need it. 20% I'm like, there's, I like on last week, I really wish I would have had that. Cause if I would have had that answer with that little file, I forgot the name of the file, I would have been able to zip through that. I would like, I could have probably winged it, like, let's do this now, this is the next step, but I didn't because I was trying to be without that help, without, I wanted to see how good I really was or whatever. But let's wrap this up. I know we're 5 after, so I know home doing some charity work. Yeah, he's always doing charity work, looking for looking for my lost Bitcoins in the black fields of Nigeria. Oh man, I love you so much. But I'm new to pen testing and a CTF and participation in my first hack. Awesome, that was fun. I did some of that too. It was a good experience. Only have 4 months in cybersecurity. Kudos, TG artists. Keep on going. What tips do you give me? Thank you. Just keep going, man. Just keep going and just watch people and network with folks and join Discord servers and just share, or just join places where it's like-minded folks. And yeah, that's pretty much it. And yeah, that's it, man. It's 8:05. I want to be respectful of your time, and I want to watch the shitty Rangers lose. And thank you so much, Andrew. Appreciate
Thanks for having me.
Awesome. And